Hello and welcome to another Imperator Invictus developer diary. Apologies for being quite late on this one. I think I'm actually almost an entire week late on it. Busy week. My apologies, especially to the Imperator Invictus team, which are still doing a fantastic job, and I'll try to do better in the future. I'm sorry. Anyway, let us get into a pretty interesting, pretty exciting little dev diary. I've had a scan through it, and I do like what I see here. We saw in a previous dev diary that the region south of Egypt, where Kush is, and south of them, and also north of Kush, but generally, like, you know, southern Egypt, right? It got Imperator Invictus's first map rework. And initially, Imperator Invictus was reluctant to make map changes because it makes other things awkward, and it's, I don't know. I don't exactly get the reasons why. I kind of like map changes in mods. But for a long time it was, I believe, a policy to not have map changes. That policy is clearly gone out the window with the changes to southern Egypt, and now again there are even more changes coming to the region of I don't know, what would you call it, like Libya, and I almost said sub-Saharan Africa there, but it's not. It's north. It's north of Sahara. So what would be the opposite of sub-Saharan Africa? What's the opposite of sub? Oh. So there's lots of changes to Saharan Africa, and yeah, no, it's looking pretty good. So let's just get in. There's a Libyan map extension, and there's an update release date as well, which I'm not sure if it's actually gone yet. We'll figure out at the end. So today we'll mostly be talking about a map extension Shocky made and the various new tribes that have been added to the North African area. If you're just here for the updates release date announcement, it'll be at the bottom of the dev diary. So, more map additions. This time they're adding an entire region to the map which received no love in vanilla, Libya. Libya is land of many peoples during this time period, as described historically by authors such as Herodotus, Pliny, I don't even know or care, Ptolemy and more, but also from archaeology. This map will blend together historical sources and archaeological data to best recreate ancient Libya and southern Tunisia with gameplay in mind. With that being said, many more tribes could potentially be added or subdivided, like the Macae, and they may be added at a later date. But for gameplay reasons or purposes, new tags have been somewhat limited. The sources here mostly defer to Herodotus, Pseudo-Skylax, who wrote a Periplus in 350 BC, and it's the closest in time, and Pliny. Archaeology by David J. Mattingly is used extensively, and so we've got a comparison of the before and after images. So this is vanilla. We all know vanilla. I assume, like vanilla. And let's have a look at what we're getting. I would say that's a fairly comprehensive little bit of change. That is very different. I quite like that. Can I get this to load open? No, I can make it smaller. That's not actually what I want. Either way, I quite like this. The change looks great, right? Go back up. You see Cyrenaica, this huge bit of desert is just awkward and annoying. That's going away. That's going away, which I do like. I like that it's going away. We have the Psylli, we've got the Nasamones, the Maquiles, Macae, Garamantes, Phazaniae, the Gyzantes, the Guindanes, bugger if I know. And Masalmia and Macilia, they're the same. They're the same. Interesting stuff. That makes this area actually interesting rather than just a thin strip of land that, I mean, you don't even want to walk your armies through, right? If you are Carthage fighting Egypt, walking through here is a death sentence because there's bugger all in the way of food. It's desert. You're going to starve by the time you get here. It's not good land. So if you're wanting to cross this, instead of walking, you use boats. So this is basically useless. It may as well in vanilla be uncolonizable desert land that no one takes. But now there's actually something interesting there. There is land here that, they're countries and shit. That's great. So let's have a look at more. So let's talk about each area and tribe starting from east to west. First off, we have the Nasamones. They're one of the most powerful tribal confederations in Libya and held territory from the coast of Greater Syrtis, where Syrian's territory ends in the southwest, through to the inland desert oases, particularly Arguila. Arguila was an important secondary oracular, I don't even know what that word means, center for the god Ammon, perhaps only second in importance to Ammonium itself, which lies to the east, controlled by Egypt. This tribal confederation were quite the followers of the god Ammon and helped facilitate its spread throughout the Libyan desert, hence the name Nasamones. Historically, they were a problem for Cyrenaican and Carthaginian sailors at sea and a menace along Cyrene's southern border. However, for gameplay purposes, territories between Nasamones and Cyrene begin uncolonized to prevent automatic war at game start. A new passable, uncolonizable terrain has been added to connect Arguila to Jagbub, in the east, and Jagbub Ammonium to the modern Tobruk area to reflect the great ties Ammonium area had to places further west. So the Nasamones, we're getting they're a problem from Cyrenaican and Carthaginian sailors at sea. But the Nasamones don't have any coastline, which makes me think that maybe there was a trick missed right there. Maybe they should have been connected to sea. I don't know the terrain of and the displacement of these various tribes, but I would imagine if they have enough of a sea presence to be annoying to Carthage and Cyrenaica, it would kind of require that they have access to the sea, right? I don't know. But yeah, you can see what they have here. Yeah, I mean, this honestly, it means nothing to me at this point. But they start with a fort. I don't see any cities. I don't see any cities here either. But yeah, interesting stuff. Now we have the Maquiles, this tiny little nation. Not to be confused with the Maquiles of Herodotus. Don't worry, I wasn't gonna make that connection because I've never heard of either of these. It was a minor tribe listed by Pliny as being inland from the Nasamones. Virtually nothing else is known about them. Their tribal name suggests they belong to the Macaean cultural group, and this tribe serves as a buffer between the other greater powers in the region. Nasamones to the east, Garamantes to the south, and Macae to the north. In game, they'll be given the option to become a tribal vassal to another power, or go it alone. It'll be a very difficult playthrough. It kind of sounds pretty interesting. Who can make the Maquiles work? Can you, allying with one to take out another and then using your power as this to take out the Garamantes, perhaps, and backstab the Nasamones? Actually sounds like a pretty interesting playthrough. Maybe something to try. And then they've got a fort in a reasonable place, actually. Yeah, interesting enough. Next up, we have the Macae. They're described as a numerous people, but it seems they were never a united tribal confederation. Pliny and others list several sub-tribes which the Macae could be divided into. For gameplay purposes, the Macae are united as one entity minus the Maquiles, located inland from Tripolitania. Historically, the Macae tribes kicked the Greeks out of Sinips on the coast near Lepsis or Lapki with the help of the Carthaginians, served as mercenaries in the armies of Hannibal, and became mostly assimilated into Libyan-Phoenician culture, and later were Romanized. The Macae cover several areas in game as described by ancient authors. The Sinips River, Wadi Zamzam, Wadi Sophagin, all the way to Wadan Oasis, as suggested by archaeology. They're pretty big. They're pretty swole. You could probably colonize to the coast fairly easily as well. And then a closer look at them. Yeah, they've got land. Cool. That's what the territories are called. Again, this kind of zooming in doesn't really say anything to me. Cool, there's a province called Phazaniae. You know what? I chose the wrong one. There's a province called Mizda. Huzzah! Cool. There you go. Sure. We got the Psylli. Psylli, sure. The enigmatic Psyllis. They're possibly a relic population of pre-Afro-Asiatic, Egyptian Berber, Cushitic, etc. language expansion into this area of Africa, as attested by their unusual place names and tribal name, which appears not to be related to Afro-Asiatic or any known language family. They were described as renowned snake charmers by ancient sources and appear to have been wiped out by the Nasamones during the time of Herodotus. However, later Roman sources describe this as living along the central coast of the Greater Syrtis as a minor tribe. In fact, the word Syrtis and the modern city of Sirt in the region owe their names to the Psylli tribe. It's very Psylli. It's very Psylli to try and pronounce this properly. It's very Psylli indeed. Yes, notice the similarity between the words Syrtis and Psylli. I mean, all we've really got is the SY. Not gonna lie, I wouldn't really call that similar, but hey-ho, whatever. They appear in game as a tribal vassal to the Nasamones at the start, pinkish-coloured nation with its capital Eufranta on the map below. There. Okay, so they're on the coastline. That's pretty cool. Okay. On to the Garamantes. The exclusion of the famed Garamantes from vanilla Imperator Rome was what drove me to create this map to begin with. Not only are they cited throughout all historical sources, archaeology in the past 20 years has proven they were an advanced and innovative civilization in their own right. Entire books can be written about the Garamantes, so I'll try to keep it short. Oasis farmers in the deep interior of modern Libya along several wadis, dried riverbeds which may seasonally flow. Underneath these wadis, the Garamantes dug foggerers, a type of underground irrigation system, using mass slave labor. This allowed them to produce all manner of grains, dates, vegetables, as well as support their livestock and horses. They are famed warriors, traders of exotic goods from the Mediterranean to Mali and Chad, and produced phenomenal rock art and more. Their most famous exploits involve their dealings with Rome. They were conquered by Cornelius Balbus in 19 BC, but the Romans were unable to make Phazaniae a new province due to persistent guerrilla insurgency. Rome decided in the 1st century AD that they'd install a client king, and from that point both parties prospered. The Garamantes king would famously host a Roman expedition all the way to Lake Chad. Yeah, they're pretty deep. Pretty deep indeed. Cool. Like I say, if you've played, say, Total War Rome 2, you'll know of the Garamantes there. They're a faction there as well. Yeah, cool. Good to have them in. And then they've got some cities as well. That their capital there is a city, and by some, I literally mean one. So, you know, it's cool, I guess. We got the Phazaniae, or Phazaniae, I don't know. One of the other great nations Balbus conquered appears to have been the Phazaniae, west of the Macae, with their capital at the city of Psydamus, modern Gadames. Wait, what? Phazaniae, capital of Psydamus, modern Gadames. Psydamus, Gadames. Sure, okay. Words, man. They occupied a number of oasis groups running along the modern border of Tunisia and Libya, while more minor tribes could have been added north of Phazaniae. For gameplay at this time, the Phazaniae, Macae, and Guindanes have been split the lands of others. A passable area to the south of Psydamus connects their lands to the Garamantes. So it does. Alright, cool. Phazaniae, and then I believe they also have a city. Yeah, they do. Psydamus, right there in the south. Cool. We have the Guindanes, the Lotus Eaters. The Guindanes are a tribe listed by ancient sources, such as Herodotus, as laying inland from the coast of the minor Syrtis. They inhabited the land which stuck out towards the modern-day island of Jerba. After centuries of Punic people slowly colonizing the coast, the Guindanes appear to have been fully integrated into Libyan-Phoenician culture by Roman times, as they're not listed by later sources. Modern scholars, such as Mattingly and others, speculate that the Guindanes were possibly a tribe or subtribe of the Lotophagoi, or Lotus Eaters, described as inhabiting this stretch of coastline. The Guindanes begin the game as a tribal vassal of Carthage. Okay, so Carthage getting tribal vassals, which actually helps quite a bit because it makes the tribesmen in Carthage a bit happier, I believe. And then they don't have any cities, nor do the next guy either. Okay, We have the Gyzantes. They're listed by both Herodotus and Pseudo-Skylax as inhabiting the shores of Lake Tritonis Shore in the modern Chott el Jarib in Tunisia. Pseudo-Skylax lists only the Gyzantes around the year 350 BC, while older Herodotus listed a number of other tribes. He will defer to Pseudo-Skylax. Later sources list a number of other tribes, the Nibgenii, the Urupai, of Gaetulian background, and their affiliation with the early Gyzantes is unclear. At this time, the Lake Tritontis was slowly drying out, and the River Triton would sometimes be cut from the Mediterranean. This bountiful land produced a great quantity of honey, African elephants, monkeys, and more, stark contrast to the deserts and oases of today. The Romans would make their presence known here after the conquest of Africa. A number of Roman sites have been identified in the region by modern archaeology. The Gyzantes start in the game with control of the entirety of the shore around Lake Tritonis. They speak here of, where am I looking? Gaetulians, right? Gaetulia, I think, should be a formable for any of like Massilia, Massalmia, Gyzantes, Guindanes. I think owning like this Gaetulia should be a formable. I think the game should get more formables in general, if I'm being honest, and I think that would be a pretty good one. And there is their thing. It's like, oh, they surround the lake, but like, no, what they're surrounding is a little bit of desert. But yeah, sure, I'm sure there's a lake in there somewhere. As you can see, the terrain doesn't quite reflect how different the landscape was back then. We plan to add the lakes and proper terrain soon. Lovely, love it. That's what I want to see. Missions, events, and more are being planned for the new nations, which aims to simulate some of their historic interactions with Carthage and Rome. Hope the Dev Diary helps others to appreciate the great cultures and numerous peoples of Libya that unfortunately were left out of vanilla despite historical sources and modern archaeology. Here's a final cultural map shot of the region. So we've got the Phazaniae, Lotofegoi, Gyzantian, Gaetulian, big amounts of Macae, got the Garamantes, the Nasamones, Libyan still there, Psylli. Alright. I'm going to always pronounce that wrong, by the way. Whatever, I don't care. But now, finally, the release date of the big update will be the 10th of November, 2021. A full changelog will be made public on the 8th in the last Dev Diary. Also, the deadline for the story contest is closing, ending on the 5th of November. This is basically if you know what an AAR is, write an AAR about your playthrough. AAR stands for After Action Report. Basically, write a story about your goings-on in the game. Thankfully, I did manage to, make this video before that happened, so this form link will be in the description below if you would like to take part as well. It doesn't matter if your story's long, it's interesting, and played an Imperator, feel free to send it. Lovely stuff. So, my thoughts are great. This is the kind of shit that I like to see. I think map additions are a great addition to the game. I really do. I'm glad that they went back on their idea of not having map changes, because map changes make the game more interesting, especially for people who've played it all already, So I'm really glad to see that coming in. Looking forward to maybe having a run as the Maquiles. That seems like an interesting pain run. But yeah, should be a good time. So, let me know if you have any thoughts on this, what you would like to play in this region, and just a further apology for being so late with this video. But yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have also enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one, which hopefully won't take quite as long. Yeah. Bye.